Hello, my name's Lou. Here's my following audience. Today I would like to talk about the gun control in the United States. Well, before I start delivering my speech, I would like to talk about a few true stories which happens in the last decade. In March 5th, 2001, Santana High School student Charles Andrew Willow, 15-year-old, fatally shoots 2 classmates and wounded 13 others on the campus. In April 16, 2007, Sun Hong Cho, a 23-year-old Virginia Tech senior, opens fire on campus, killing 32 people in a dorm and wounded 17 others on campus. He then killed himself after the second incident. In July 20th, 2012, 24-year-old James Holmes killed 12 people and wounded 58 people during the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises in Aurora, Colorado. Most recently, on December 14th, 2012, a man named Dan Lenza shot 20 children and 6 staff members at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newton, Connecticut. The shooting incident at Sandy Hook Elementary is the second deadliest school shooting in the country's history, after only Virginia Tech, according to the Associated Press. There are only a few mass shootings that have occurred recently in the past and have sparked a debate about the controversial topic of gun control. Every year, approximately 100,000 Americans fall victim to gun violence. So, many people would ask, what is good about carrying a firearm? Statistics shows America owns estimated totally 270 million firearms, which means approximately 90% of the population possesses a firearm. A gun is the most effective defense against rape. The research shows that when women are armed with a gun or knife, an attempt to rape is 10 times less likely to be complete. Other data indicate 34% of felons said that they have been scared of, shot at, or wounded or captured by an armed victim. And 40% of these criminals admitted that they have committed a crime out of a fear that a potential victim was armed. Well, according to Josh Freeman, Executive Director of Violence Policy Center, he said, we know in the District of Columbia, where we have abandoned handguns, that if you minimize the number of the handguns, you are going to have less shootings. A pretty simple, straightforward concept. And according to the statistics, living in a home where there is a gun increases the risk of homicide by 40% to 170%. Another study conducted by the United Secret Service of 37 school shooting in 26 different states has also revealed that in nearly 2/3 of incidents, the attacker got a gun from his or her own home. Second Amendment of the United States Constitution quotes, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed." You may have heard the famous Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, famously known as the right to bear arms. Many anti-gun control activists, such as National Rifle Association, use this amendment to state that gun control is violating their rights given to them by the United States Constitution. But the Second Amendment does not say that people should be allowed without any restriction to buy and sell large military-style automatic rifles, such as those recently used in multiple mass shootings. These guns are not only for defense purposes, but it can be used to kill many people easily. Well, nevertheless, some anti-control activities also argue that laws forbidding the carrying of arms will only disarm those people who are law-abiders, and will make things easier for those attackers, killers, who will be determined to break the law anyway. So the world is not perfect at all, and neither can it ever be. There will always be killers lurking around in our midst. We can never completely ban firearms. What we need to do is to limit ammunition magazines so that if killer decide they want to go a rampage shooting, they will not have access to automatic rifles. In 1994, the Violent Crimes Control and the Law Enforcement Act was passed, which is commonly referred to as the assault weapons ban. This bill banned the possession, manufacturing, and importation of new semi-automatic firearms and large-capacity ammunition magazines for civilian use. Before this bill was passed, a study shows that a large-capacity magazine were involved 14 to 26 gun crimes, as compared to assault weapons, which accounts for 6% of crimes. This bill helped reduce the amount of large-capacity magazines being used in mass shooting. For example, when the bill was passed and the ban was in effect, the Virginia State Police experienced a steady decline in the number of the firearms with large-capacity magazines used in crimes, reaching a low 10% in 2004. Well, since the bill was in effect for only 10 years, in 2005, Congress failed to renew the ban, and the number is increased. By 2010, nearly 22 guns recovered in crimes had a large capacity in magazines. Also, many people argue we need to understand the psychology of the killer. But people believe that if we can understand the mind of the mass murders, we can prevent the massive murders from happening. But we have to accept that there will always be a psychopaths living undetected in our population. No matter the cause of why the killer did what he did, the problem we have to focus now is how to prevent and limit those killers from access to firearms and a large amount of ammunition. Not only do we need to ban the civilian use of automatic rifles and large ammunition magazines, but we also need to limit and restrict the smaller firearms such as handguns. In fact, a study by the Bureau of Justice shows that the handgun production has increased, so has the amount of shooting incidents by handguns. Not only do adults get killed in these shootings, but children and young adults are the greatest victims. Since 1980, 2,097 people have been killed in school shootings. Statistics shows that children and young adults comprise 38% of firearms deaths and not fatal injuries. In response to these recent mass shootings, such as the Aurora shooting and the Sandy Hook shootings, Congress has started to focus more attention on topic of the gun control. President Obama has introduced many proposals to tighten gun control laws. His plan include universal background checks, the reinstatement of the assault weapons ban, and limiting ammunition magazines to a 10-round capacity. And many such as measures. This measure will ensure the proper use of guns and will limit access to semi-automatic and automatic rifles that can be used to commit a massive homicide. If we cannot completely stop shooting, we have to prevent the buying and selling of the guns to those who cannot handle guns. We have to prevent the large ammunition magazine size, and then I think we were also able to prevent these violent massacres from occurring. Thank you guys for listening.